Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining me in today's webinar. Today we're going to focus on something different. We're going to focus on the newsletter management. Now, there's a lot of things that we need to focus on when it comes to the newsletters, and the newsletter is simply sending out an email to all of your groups or specific groups. So, when it comes to the newsletters, of course, you could create different groups, and you could also create templates. The templates is more like the skin of your email when it's being received. And then of course you have to go through the publishing steps and able to use your template. So under company, if you go to newsletter management, we're going to focus on at least 3 areas in the newsletter management since there's a lot to cover. So the first area we're going to go over is subscription groups. Now your subscription groups is the group you're going to select when you send this newsletter. So you could create groups such as distributors, so that way it's only sent to distributors. You could also create groups for customers, so that way customers can receive some updated news or maybe changes, new products, new services from the company. So this is the area where you need to create the group. Okay, so here we have by default administrator, so that means that if I create a newsletter and let's say I have at least 5 users that have admin roles, then those 5 users as administrators will receive the newsletter. And then members, of course, you could use a different reference name for distributors. You could be members, affiliates, independent sales representatives. So I'm just going to click right on the name of the group. And let's say I want to change this to distributor. Okay. And then here I'm just going to put in the description for distributors only. And then under the access level, which is the level of permissions or roles. So I want to select distributor. So everything under admin down to distributor will be selected. Okay. And I click save and close. Okay, so if you want to create a new group, for example, let's create a group called customers. So we click on add group. Of course, it's going to be for customers only, because you can actually create different groups such as customers and distributors. Okay, now here what I'm going to do is something different, because if I select distributor, then everything will be selected. So what I want to do is, instead of selecting customer, because distributor is going to be part of that group, I'm going to come here to administrator under access level, and what is recommended is under center roles, you're going to just select customer. That way admin and customer are the only 2 roles under the permissions that will be selected. Okay. Then I click save and close. This part is easy. You just need to figure out when you send out the newsletter what groups is going to be receiving the newsletter. And just remember, the newsletter is simply a broadcast email that you're going to be sending out to that specific group. Okay, so that's step 1 under newsletter management, is your subscription groups. And you can come here as many times as you like, but I think that you should only come here once, so that way you can create the group and not have to worry about it later. All right, under corporate subscription groups, this is where you actually will enable the subscription or the subscribed button in the back office. Okay, so that way your distributors or customers, they can always opt in or opt out of receiving newsletters. So I'm going to go under customers and make sure customers only the only role that we'll select. Click save, then select distributor. Make sure distributor is selected. And that's all you need to do here. You don't have to do anything else, but just to make sure that the subscribe button is there. Now under newsletter templates, okay, so here by default you have different templates, and just think of the templates as the skin that's just going to represent the actual email once it's received. Okay, so here of course you could create your own template, but by default you probably have about 56 templates that you can use, and you can also customize. So for example, let's use generic 9, one column. All right, so the template itself is going to have something basic like this, where it's going to show the mail merge variable and the company name is actually going to be displayed, current date. So most of the templates that you see will have something like this. I want to say a simple design, but it will have a design. And then you see this tag here. This is a tag that's going to be part of the newsletter template. Now, if you ever decide to remove this tag, and I'm going to show you here, and I try to click Save and Close, notice here in red it shows at least one Add Newsletter Content tag is required within the HTML editor. So I wouldn't try to remove it. Okay, so this is just an example. And then let's say that you are making some changes within any of the templates that we see here. Well, as soon as you click Save and Close, of course you need to go back and click on the template to make sure you're publishing it, or you're at least pushing the content to publish, because under newsletter management you have to go here to publish newsletter template. If you do not publish your newsletter template, you will not be able to use it for your recent changes. Last and final step under newsletter management is where you need to actually create the newsletter. That way, if you want to put your verbiage or your content, you want to upload images, maybe you want to put a hyperlink, you will need to do it here. So once again, that's under company, newsletter management, and you're going to newsletter management. I know it's here twice, but this is the area where you need to actually put in your content, your recent news, any new products that are going to be in the company that's for sale. Try not to do it under newsletter template, because like I mentioned, it's just like the cover art of the email. Okay, so when you click on Add Newsletter, of course you need to select specific options here. For example, the groups. Which group is going to receive this newsletter? And then of course you're going to put in the subject line. If this is for all customers and all distributors in every country, then you don't have to select a country. Now if it's for a specific let's say country or state, then of course you will need to select it here in the drop down. Let's say this is going to be for members only in the state of Alabama, then you need to select the state here. But I would just leave it as it is under select country, so that way it applies to every user. All right, so under templates, this is where you're going to select the template for your newsletter. So let's say I want to select generic 9. Okay, so once I add my content, now I could click on preview, and it's going to give you a preview of how this is going to be received. The mail merge variables is not going to appear while we're seeing here. The actual information of the company is going to be displayed in the actual email. So remember, that's just a simple preview of how the template is going to appear along with your content. Send from. Always select site owner, because the site owner's email address is going to appear in every newsletter. So for example, your company's email address is noreply@abccompany.com. Well, you want to make sure the from email address is selected here under site owner. If you ever leave the send from as current user, for example, Jesse is composing this newsletter and he forgot to change the send from to site owner, now selected as current user. So my email address, jesse@abccompany.com, is going to appear in every email that the newsletter will send. So that will create spam for me. And so always make sure that you're selecting site owner under sent from. All right, and then we have a priority here. So depending on how high the importance of this newsletter is, you need to select a low priority, normal priority, or high priority. And then schedule newsletter is grayed out. Normally what it does is that you can schedule a newsletter to be sent out a specific day and a specific time. But right now it's grayed out because it's not currently being used. And here under attachment, you could upload an attachment. It could be a PDF document. It could be a Word document. It could be an image. Maybe you want to upload a banner or a flyer. You could upload it here. So you need to click on Add. You know what? I apologize. You need to first choose File. I should have known that. So you go through your computer and find that file. And then you click Add. Okay, so your file will be here. And then you have at least 4 buttons. You have Save, which is just going to save your changes here so you can continue on working. Save and Send is going to save your changes, and then it's going to send the newsletter. But then it's going to keep you on this page. Save, Send, and Close is going to save your changes, send the newsletter, and close this page to take you back to the newsletter management list. And if you want to test this out, you just simply click on Test, and it's going to send you a test email. So before you want to send it, you pretty much want to click on Test just to test it out and see how it's going to be received, or cancel. And that should wrap it up for our training on newsletter management. And I want to thank everyone for joining our webinar this morning. I hope I provided you enough value for your time. And we'll see each other tomorrow again at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Thank you and have a wonderful day.